Today on Studio One, making a difference in the community by teaching the young. She makes things come alive with her storytelling. A young Russian man shows us his love for his homeland with the piano, and educating our children, the debate over homeschooling and public schooling. All this and more for Friday, April 7th, 1995. And hi everyone, welcome to Studio One today. Scott Seiler here along with Jennifer Vandergon, Lucy Sivka, and Adam Braze. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be cast in a movie, Rob Shaeffer is going to join us and he's going to tell us. He was recently cast in the movie Fargo, which was filmed here in North Dakota.
And we'll also have an update on the weather.
That's right, and if you're wondering what the forecast is going to be like, I'll give you a hint. It's going to be cool, and I'll tell you more about it in just a couple minutes.
Okay. All that and more coming up in the next 60 minutes, but now the top news stories on Lucy Sivka.
Thanks, Scott. United Nations forces in Kuwait are taking responsibility for mistakenly letting 2 Americans cross into Iraq. The commander of the Iraq-Kuwait Observer Mission says a guard let him pass through a UN checkpoint thinking they were authorized personnel. David Daliberti and William Barloon, both aircraft mechanics working in Kuwait, were sentenced to 8 years in prison for illegally entering Iraq. The state is preparing to take up the $189 billion tax cut package that passed the House Wednesday. It includes a $500 per child tax credit for families earning up to $2,000 and a sharp reduction in the capital gains tax. But even as House Republicans celebrate, their bill remains on shaky political ground. House Speaker Newt Gingrich claims the tax and spending cuts passed by the House are good for average people. But Democrats contend they go too far, helping the rich, hurting the poor and middle class. House Republicans will celebrate, standing where they stood last September when most signed their 100-day pledge. The Republicans will begin running TV ads touting their accomplishments. Many newspapers are being forced to cut their size. Newsprint costs are the reason. Newsprint prices have risen 40% since January. This week, the Grand Forks Herald is showing its changes. A reduced budget is forcing the Herald to raise the cost of its Saturday edition. Online services are an option many newspapers are considering.
We'd like to get online as soon as we can, and we'd like to get online with as good of a product as we can. But if you look around the country as to what a lot of publications are doing, their first step is to simply make a presence in the market, to get online in the electronic mall and put out their store shingle and improve the product from there.
Newspapers across the country are uploading online editions daily. Within the next couple of months, 4 of the country's top newspapers will be available through the computer internet. The Grand Forks Herald has plans to go online in the future. Patients can have instant test results from the doctor's office. MedConnect is an automated answering service that posts test results electronically. Once a result is known, the doctor records the information in the MedConnect phone bank. Patients punch in their social security number and a PIN code. The system can be accessed 24 hours a day and assures confidentiality. The service was launched by a medical management company and was invented to save doctors time. It also spares patients anxiety. The system is used by doctors in Ohio and will soon make its way to North Dakota. How old do you have to be to start your own business? One college student has an early jump in the business world. His high school dreams are turning into a money-making operation.
This is one of the mixes that we make.
Jason Mischel knows all about birdseed. That's his business. 2 years ago, Jason started Great Companions in Warren, Minnesota, a mail-order catalog operation. Now business is booming, and he's only 21 years old. Great Companions sells birdseed and various pet products like this doggy raincoat. He will send out over 100,000 catalogs throughout the United States, and customers order his products through the mail. He has a partnership with his father, but the whole family gets involved, especially his little brother, Adam. Adam is a junior in high school, and he is making his own strides in the business world. Adam makes bird toys and sells them to his older brother, Jason.
It's a lot better than working out in the cold for $5 an hour. I can just come here whenever I want and do however many I want.
Adam cuts wood into small pieces and dyes them for a bright bird toy. It takes him about 3 minutes to assemble the toys, and he sells them to Jason for a profit.
This box here is probably $150 worth of toys from him, maybe. If he sells me $150 worth of toys, I probably sell it for $300. Some people
may try to take advantage of me because of my age and think that I may not know certain things they're trying to do to me. And they usually find out they're wrong, and I do know.
Jason says Great Companions is still small, but he has hopes for the future. Until then, he learns every aspect of the business.
And while Jason is in college, he manages Great Companions right out of his dorm room.
Well, it still shows that entrepreneurship in North Dakota and Minnesota is still strong today.
And right now we're going to go to Adam and the weather for the next week. Adam?
Well, thank you, Jennifer. After a week with colder temperatures and, yes, even a little bit of unsuspected snow, it looks as though that pattern is going to continue. We're going to see cooler temperatures with, again, a chance for snow come Monday. But to start off today, it isn't too bad out there. We have a cloudy sky with a temperature of 30 degrees. Winds out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure is dropping. As we look around the region, we find temperatures generally in the 20s up across the north. Through most of the region, we find temperatures in the 30s. However, in the far south, temperatures up in the 40s already. It's currently 42 in Sioux Falls, 27 in Winnipeg, and only 20 in International Falls. Another thing to mention is across the region there has been some precipitation this morning. In the south, it's been in the form of rain. However, as you move farther north, we've seen a few snow showers and even a little bit of freezing rain around the Alexandria, Minnesota area, causing some travel headaches this morning for that region. As we can see on the radar chart this morning, there's a precipitation across our area. A storm is developing out to the west. You can't really see the full remnants of it right now, but the storm is developing and it will develop throughout the weekend, causing heavy mountain snows. That will be the thing that affects us later on in the weekend. As you can see on the forecast map, there's the storm system developing there, spurting out one piece of energy early this morning. That'll cause heavy thunderstorms for Iowa and South Dakota. Snow showers for our area later on today. There's the snows out to the west and the rains along the Pacific coast. Tomorrow, that storm really cranks up, producing heavy snows and heavy rains across the Pacific region. That will move in here for Monday, so yes, we will see the chance for snow, and yes, there may be a little bit of rain mixed in with it. The high temperatures for today should be in the 30s, 40s, and 50s throughout the region. Quite a variety. That indicates there could be some severe weather to the south, 70s and 80s to the far south. Tonight's lows should be in the 20s and 30s throughout much of the region. The forecast for today does call for a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures should be in the upper 40s with winds from the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, it'll remain partly cloudy with a low dropping off into the teens, winds from the north at 5 to 15 miles per hour. The extended outlook, there it is, not a whole lot to jump up and cheer about. As it appears Monday, we'll see the chance for rain mixed with snow. Temperatures remaining only in the 30s. So guys, don't put that shovel away yet.
Well, thanks, Adam. You know, I could really use some warm weather.
Yeah, we all could.
I have faith, though, because the baseball season is starting, and that means that spring can't be too far away.
Yeah, exactly. In sports, the start of the Major League season is still just a few weeks away, but minor league baseball gets underway today with 27 games on the AAA and AA level. In the NBA, the number 13 is a lucky one for the Spurs. San Antonio made its 13th straight win, 96-94 over the Kings at Sacramento. Spud Webb tied it with 5 seconds to go with a three-pointer, but Chuck Person comes to the rescue, burying the jumper with no time left on the clock, giving the Spurs the win. In golf, there's a three-way tie for first in the Masters. Defending champ Jose Mario Olazabal is at 6 under par, along with South Africans David Frost and the young American Phil Mickelson.
Today the course was very susceptible for low scores, as we've seen, and with the weather supposedly clearing up come the weekend, I think we're going to see a different golf course.
55-year-old Jack Nicklaus is in the running with a 5 under 67 for the Golden Bear, gunning for his 7th green jacket. Some big names are on the move in baseball. The Expos send Marquise Grissom to the Braves in exchange for outfielders Tony Tarasco, Roberto Kelly, and a minor leaguer. The Royals trade David Cone to the Blue Jays for 3 minor leaguers. And in hockey, John LeClaire got the go-ahead goal in the third, leading the Flyers to a 5-4 win over Tampa. And those are the national highlights. Now look at the overnight scores. Now that the baseball strike has ended, the agreement between the players and owners has left out one side of the issue. What do the fans think?
The time has come for replacement players to clean out their lockers and make room for Major League players. But are the fans happy with this decision?
When I watch some of the replacement players, they look every bit as good as some of these high-priced ball players. Every bit as good.
I'm glad it's over. Because I like baseball a lot, and I didn't know it was over.
The baseball strike, I don't know. I think it's kind of silly that they got to strike about all this stuff, and they make enough money the way it is to play a sport that they love. So,
even though the major league players are back, some fans are boycotting the games and staying at home. A Baltimore group called Fan Out America is leading the protest to show the players and owners fans should not be taken for granted.
I think the fans will come back. Give them a little time. Once someone starts hitting 20, 30 homers again, they'll be back.
I was mad at first, but then I just watched football.
Because of the strike, Kirby Puckett will only make $4.5 million for the rest of the season, compared to his regular $5 million.
Wow, that's a lot of money. That's more than I can make in 1 year making eggs.
Well, I think it was a waste of a lot of money, very lot of money, and not much was resolved.
Many fans are excited about the baseball season, but the word strike, hopefully, will only be used behind the plate. This is Josh Anderson reporting for Studio One Sports.
The baseball season starts April 26th, and each team will play 148 games. Well, coming up next on Studio One, we'll talk with Dorette, Kerian, and Jan Orvik. They'll tell us about a new user-friendly system available to UND students, faculty, and others around the world. It's called UND Info.
And with the weather the way it's been the last week, we're sure that you're ready to get out and do something fun. Here are some of the events taking place in your community. Studio One continues after this.
Insurance. Unfortunately, it costs. Fortunately, it pays. Voller Insurance. Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
Banking is easy when you have options, like the options you get at Community National Bank. Like their friendly tellers. Can I have this traded in for nickels?
Sure, Bill.
And I love going to customer service.
Tootsie Roll, Bill.
Yes, thank you. That's customer service. Check cash card convenience when you need it the most. And those drive-ups, always one of my favorite options. And these 24-hour ATMs conveniently located all over town. Aren't they the best?
Meet me at Columbia. Meet me at Columbia Mall. There's always something happening where laughter overflows. People meeting people, an exciting place to go. Something's there for everyone, and you can see it all. You're free to choose a million things, so meet me at the mall. Meet me at Columbia Mall.
And pick your insurance company? As your agent and broker, that's our exact job. We think we do it well, and have been since 1947. Voller Insurance. Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
You may not find Spider-Man on this web, but you'll gain access to more information. Not only do students and faculty have access, but people all across the world can find out what's going on at the University of North Dakota. Dorette Kerian from UND's Computer Center and Jan Orvik from University Relations explain the benefits of accessing UND info throughout the World Wide Web. Thanks to both of you for joining us in Studio One. Jan, can you tell us what exactly UND info is?
UND Info is a way that people can find out information about the university online. It's a graphical interface that basically tells you hopefully anything you want to know about the university. We're expanding all the time.
Mm-hmm. How did it get started?
It started about 7 months ago when I became involved, but the background work was done long ago by the Computer Center and some other people on campus. But basically we started last September and we started going online last week.
Wonderful. Dorette, this is something that is truly, people all across the world can get this. Does it take a lot of technical knowledge to get this going?
There's a lot of people who have been doing this for a while, Scott, so we're not the trailblazers, so we can build on that. There's a number of colleges and universities who have been doing this for some time, and so we got some of their information. There's freeware that's out there that we can put on machines that we have locally, and it's that technology is growing all the time. So it seems involved, but there's people out there who know about that stuff who can help us get started with it.
Mm-hmm. About how much time did it take you to set up this whole system?
I couldn't answer that question. There's a number of people. As far as actually putting the software on the server, the machine that this all information comes on, it would be under 40 hours to get that set up and going. The work is really putting all of this information that every department has in it and formatting it so that it looks okay when you look at it, those kinds of, that's where the real time and work is, and I don't think we could put a number on those hours either.
Several hours, several hundreds of thousands of hours probably. You know, we have an example, Jan, of what it looks like when you actually get on to UND Info, and we have some pictures that show that if people click on with their computer, this is what they'll be seeing.
Yeah, it starts you out at the web server, and then from there you can click on any. They're called hotspots, hot points.
No, they're called home pages.
Home pages.
Oh, the hotspots where you click on.
Where you can double click on anything and take a look at it. Right now you're looking at UND Aerospace and looking at the facilities, and you can click on any of the items that are blue or purple on there, and we're going to take a look at Volcano World.
So the amazing thing is that there's pictures here. It's not just written text.
Right. It's graphical as well as text. And you can click on any of the pictures and enlarge them just as you see now.
And this is great. This is for all the departments on the university campus.
Yeah, we've invited all the departments. We're hoping that they'll all want to come online. We're getting there. Right now, yeah, you can look at directories at the School of Medicine. You even get photos along with the directories of the staff members.
So if people are at home and they have a computer and they don't want to go to the university and they don't want to wait in lines, this is an excellent opportunity for them.
It's a wonderful opportunity for them.
Yeah. Dorette, what about as far as people who do have computers? There's a number of ways that people can get onto the system.
Yeah, if you're on campus, there's UND Info icons right within the labs. So that's one way that a lot of students can use that in the student labs. If they have client software in their computers and they're connected to the backbone network, and that's, again, on campus, they can use that, and we can put in icons that can help them do that very quickly. If they're in the community, if they are living off campus, if they're students who are living off campus, again, there's software that they can put on their machines that can connect them in. And if they're in Florida or whatever, and they're interested in that, they need an access to the internet. And if they can do that, they can get on.
And UND Info is on Gopher. You can get it through America Online, CompuServe.
I know that you can get it through those that have direct connection to the internet, and some of those connections vary depending on, America Online has some internet things and not all, so I don't know that we've had an opportunity to check that all out yet. But those services that have direct internet access, then you can get to it from there. And you mentioned Gopher, and I did want to say we've been looking at really a number of web home pages for various parts of the university, not just UND Info, and that's the real nice graphical stuff, but there's a lot of information for people who don't have that ability to come in a very nice graphical way, and that's the very the text way, and that's maybe kind of boring to look at, but it gets you the information for people who don't have the kinds of machines or don't have the kind of connections that they can get to it through the nice pictures. And that's there, and that's when you mentioned Gopher, that's the source for that information.
Right. Jan, what are the future plans for this? What are the goals?
We hope to keep everything up to date. That's one of our biggest goals, and to continue adding people and gradually keep improving.
Okay, great. And if people at home are watching this and they want to find out and they want to get on it, they can call both of you and they can find out more detailed information on how to exactly hook up and get on. Great. Thanks for both joining for us today on Studio One.
Thank you, Seth.
Well, just ahead on Studio One, the sounds of music at the North Dakota Museum of Art. Russian pianist Alex Slobodyanik shows audiences a new culture through his music. But first, teaching children to learn with a special flair. Bonnie Cameron will share with us her magical formula in the classroom as she makes a difference in the community.
24 hours a day, Grand Forks Flight Support is here for you.
24 hours a day, you can book business and social charter flights to any airport in North America. 24 hours a day, we offer competitive prices with a $125 first flight certificate. Grand Forks Flight Support offers a large selection of top-of-the-line aircrafts. For an appointment or more information on flight instruction, call Grand Forks Flight Support at 772-5504.
I was looking for a car for 3 months, and the folks at Honda Nissan knew I did TV commercials. And so they asked me for suggestions, and all I could tell them was how great I was treated at Honda Nissan. And the next thing you know, here I am. When I went to Honda Nissan, I was treated with such respect. And I really couldn't believe the quality and selection that I found there. People always tell me that you get what you pay for. But at Honda Nissan, you really do get what you pay for.
Newman Outdoor Advertising, a sight for more eyes. Outdoor advertising, it's bigger than life. It gives you flexibility. Use it as a constant reminder. Use it to advertise your message or product. Outdoor advertising, it's big, it's bold. Get your message across. Outdoor advertising, it works. For more information, call Bill Kasager in Fargo or Grand Forks.
We've all had teachers that we remember forever, whether it was their teaching ability or their kindness. Teachers have a way to make a difference in our lives. Studio One's Josh Morton shows us how a Grand Forks teacher is making a difference in the lives of her students.
The 5th grade teacher at Viking Elementary School in Grand Forks has been teaching for more than 30 years.
I get out of bed and I know I'm going to have, for the most part, a good day teaching, and I enjoy the interaction with the kids. I mean, knowing that what I'm doing makes a difference.
After all these years, there are still plenty of things about her job that keep it exciting. And the most important part for her is the kids.
When you see them learning and thinking and being willing to take that risk and to grow, hey, it's worth it.
All right, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little part from the Book of 3 for us to discuss.
Bonnie says although society's values have changed over the years, the kids still act like kids. And she wants them to learn things that go far beyond the classroom.
I want them to be able to respect themselves and each other. That's a really important one. In the front of the classroom, we have a statement from a book we read that says, every living creature deserves our respect.
One of the fun things her 5th graders do is to pay taxes with their very own Viking dollars.
We simply use it as a life's experience. They had to pay property taxes. They weren't very happy about that. Students will have to pay income tax now on April 15th. But it gives them life experiences.
The best part about her job? Well, besides the constant interaction with young people, the learning that goes on brings a smile to her face.
When you see a student who has made any kind of academic, intellectual growth, it's a real thrill.
Bonnie Cameron is making a difference today and every year. Josh Morton, Studio One.
Bonnie has taught all grade levels, and she says there's not much difference between them. She says she can always make learning fun and exciting. We're back in a moment on Studio One with music from Russian pianist Alex Slobodyanik.
Why don't you come up here, Pumpkin?
What are you doing, Larry?
Well, Vince, I've asked my pumpkin to sit on my lap to prove a point.
And what is that, your Larryness?
Even if we fasten our safety belts, even if you hold on tight, even if you were watching the road...
Yeah?
In a crash, your pumpkin will be nothing but a squash.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Use child safety seats.
We love that little pumpkin to pieces.
Hey, were you guys born in a house? Yeah. What have we got to graze on? Nothing. Please? Now, don't be making those big cow eyes at... Okay.
It is okay if you give them the good stuff. Mootown Snackers, cheese and sticks, or cheese and pretzels. The deliciously dippable snacks.
Animals.
From Mootown Snackers.
If you don't want your fish swimming in these waters, try the world's greatest tuna sub at Subway. Chunk-like tuna, fresh baked bread, and all your favorite fixins. So remember, it's their way or Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
Some people love the seafood or all the fresh fixins. But what gets most people is the crab. The Subway Seafood and Crab Sub. Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
The North Dakota Museum of Art is not just a place for your eyes, it also brings another one of your senses to life. Studio One's Chuck Crummy reports.
The walls of the museum aren't just for hanging works of art. They also absorb sounds of music. Devora Workup helps bring musical artists to the museum for everyone's experience. The museum is in its second season of its concert series and is doing quite well.
We think it's been a marvelous success. Last year we presented 6 concerts. This year we presented 5 concerts. I would say that at least 200 people are coming to each of our performances, sometimes higher. We're trying to reach the community and reach the students and reach the children.
Alex Slobodyanik is a young Russian pianist entertaining us with his love for playing the piano and songs from his homeland. Alex is very proud of his heritage and his parents because they were a great influence on his life.
Besides expressing myself, I'd like to leave a mark of colored with my own national belonging to Russia. And
as with most artists, Alex has a sense of emotion and passion for his work.
you read it. So music is what you make of it, what you make of these black dots. And feeling is incredible. You play what you feel, you don't feel what you play. There's a difference.
Alex brings more than music and art to the museum. He shares with us a bit of his life and passion.
If you're doing it, the most important thing is to enjoy it.
Chuck Crummy, Studio One.
And coming up in our next half hour in Studio One, a community conversation with Grand Forks Herald's opinion team leader, Tim Fount. He'll tell us how Grand Forks residents and other communities are trying to make life more pleasant for their neighbors.
Plus, a look at where children should receive their schooling, in the classroom or at home. That story plus news and weather as Studio One continues.
Division of Continuing Education can help you learn throughout your lifetime. Begin or continue your education through correspondence study and learning after hours with classes on weekends and evenings. Or enhance your personal and professional development through conferences, management seminars, and specialized programs.
Our goal is to provide quality programs and extend UND resources to you.
For more information, call 777-4266 or 1-800-342-8230.
24 hours a day, Grand Forks Flight Support is here for you. 24 hours a day, you can book business and social charter flights to any airport in North America. 24 hours a day, we offer competitive prices with a $125 first flight certificate. Grand Forks Flight Support offers a large selection of top-of-the-line aircrafts. For an appointment or more information on flight instruction, call Grand Forks Flight Support at 772-5504.
The University Bookstore at UND is open to everyone and invites you to make it your lifelong learning resource center. At the largest university bookstore in the Dakotas, you can choose from a wide selection of educational materials, imprinted clothing, and gift items. The trade department carries general interest books, reference materials, and educational software. Special orders and direct mailing services are available at the University Bookstore by calling 1-800-671-0948.
And welcome back to Studio One. We'll have the details on more fighting in the Philippines. That's in the news in just a minute.
And we'll also have an update on the weather.
Well, that's right, and I hope you're in the mood for some colder temperatures because we've got them. And I'll tell you all about it in my forecast in a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, on the way this final half hour, Studio One, we'll meet Rob Shaeffer. He's a UND student who's making his big break in the movie business purely by chance. He'll tell us what it's like to be the stand-in for a leading actor.
We'll also check in on Tim Fout from the Grand Forks Herald. His team is working on a project called A Community Conversation. It's designed to spark communication between Grand Forks residents and surrounding communities about changes they would like to see in the future.
But before we get to those topics, we turn to Lucy Sivka and the news.
Thanks, Scott. In the Philippines, hundreds of people are fleeing a small southern town because fighting rages between government forces and Muslim extremist fighters. 5 civilians and 6 rebels reportedly have been killed in the latest firefight. Government forces are planning an offensive against the rebels, who are blamed in Tuesday's deadly raid on the predominantly Catholic town. At least 52 people were killed. The extremist group has been linked to suspects in New York's World Trade Center bombing and plots to assassinate the Pope. The government is warning parents to be on the lookout for counterfeit baby formula. Inspectors have found cans of fake liquid Similac with iron in 16 states.
There are 2 obvious ways that a consumer can easily identify the can that has the counterfeit label. The first is to look at the bottom of the can and check the batch code. The second is to take the label and peel it back. The counterfeit label is a paper label which is white on the back and has a fair amount of glue on it. The real Similac label is a plastic label, and when it's peeled back, there's a foil backing on the back of the label.
The FDA says the counterfeits contain other types of baby formula or outdated Similac. So far, no one has been hurt. Counterfeiting is getting easier. Color laser printers and detailed computer programs allow anyone with criminal intent the ability to counterfeit checks. U.S. banks have reported a 136% increase in check fraud from 1991 to 1993. Banks and check printing companies are looking at ways to stop fraud. Special paper, micro-style type, and special inks are used to thwart criminals. By protecting the customers, banks feel they are protecting themselves from counterfeiters.
If that individual standing at the teller window is not a customer, we do ask for identification. And by no means, we're not, we don't want to offend anyone, but there are some measures that we have to take to protect our customers' money.
Ex-convicts are hired by banks to teach tellers the tricks of the trade. Banks supply each teller window with a tip sheet on how to spot a forged or counterfeit check. One of America's freest forms of expression may be in jeopardy. A change in a telecommunication reform bill would ban all objectionable material on the internet. Literature and even images of pornography, hate propaganda, and printed software are all accessible through the internet. The change would place the person that put the offensive messages on the internet at fault rather than the company that allowed internet access. A problem with the change is more material would be unavailable to international users. The proposed bill has been approved by the Senate Commerce Committee. It will be sent to the full Senate for debate. Rural health care in North Dakota is adapting to a lack of doctors. This crisis is forcing new solutions to provide for people seeking health care on the plains.
When I'm forming, say, good.
Candida Ness is not a doctor, but in Northwood, North Dakota, she may as well be.
Good job.
Ness is a rural nurse practitioner,
She has the authority to prescribe medication and provide clinical care.
Okay. 3 times a day. There has been a real lack of family physicians, but unable to get doctors out into the rural areas, and nurse practitioners as well as physician assistants have been able to slip nicely into that role.
Ness travels to satellite clinics in towns connected with the Northwood Hospital.
I've been busy and my book's full.
Like a physician, she examines patients and can make referrals to the base clinic in Northwood. The increasing role of nurse practitioners is just one solution to the lack of rural doctors. The days of the traditional small-town doctor may be past. Rural areas are reacting to the lack of doctors by relying on Northwood-style clinics with its centralized focus.
These small towns people don't want to go to a big city. They don't want to get their medical care from where they're placed as a number. So we have to take the personal approach.
It's common for care providers to travel great distances to see rural patients. Such practices were once common only in the far west of North Dakota.
The scalp is a thick thing. Yours is no exception.
These people, I think, more or less like to be seen in where they live. They don't like to travel, and they don't like to be in big cities. Those are the kind of people we end up seeing because we're the kind of people that are doing that kind of service.
This is Cody Shimmick for Studio One.
Take some Advil.
Northwood has 3 physicians on staff, making it one of the luckier rural clinics. A $2.5 million investment is paying for itself several times over at the University of North Dakota. Plant Services at UND has a digital automated monitoring system that centrally controls other buildings. It consists of 3 desktop computers and 6 full-time operators. It controls more than a third of all fire, security, air handling, and heat pumps of major buildings on campus. The system has some big advantages.
We not only know what's happening in our building all the time, but we can control the amount of energy that a building is using at any given time of the day.
The system also controls the UND campus at Williston. Other sites include the School for the Blind, the Rehab Hospital at Medical Park, and UNT's Center for Aerospace Sciences Airport.
Now, Lucy, is this something that's happening all across college campuses in America?
Actually, UND is one of the only universities in the nation, one of the few in the nation that has a computer with such capabilities.
Does UND also have the capability to have a good weekend weather outlook?
Well, I'll tell you one thing UND is going to need to do. They're going to need to turn up the heat in those buildings because it remains cool, and unseasonably cool for this time of the year. But to start off with the day, it isn't too bad out there. We have a cloudy sky with a temperature of 30 degrees. Winds from the southeast at 5 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure is falling. The forecast does call for a partly cloudy sky throughout the day with a high in the upper 40s, winds from the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with a low in the teens, winds from the north at 5 to 15 miles per hour. The extended forecast, there it is. It looks to be cool and cloudy once again. Shock. Temperatures will be falling throughout the period, and there is even a chance for snow or rain mixed with snow on Monday. So I guess I can't give you any good advice on what to do. Maybe carry a snow shovel and stuff.
Yeah, snow shovel. We'll have to unpack that one. Okay. Thanks, Adam. Well, a great emphasis is being placed today on how your children are being educated. But another area which is gaining attention is where your children are being educated. Studio One's Lucy Sivka examines why each individual thinks their schooling is the best.
Your neck is too long.
Stephanie Bouchel is learning how to read. She's been learning this and more with the help of her mom at homeschool.
So she was clinging to me. And so to have to, force her to get on a school bus day after day and then to go to school and be bored for 8 hours. I think it was just too much for her.
The decision came quickly for Cindy. With her husband on temporary duty exchange in Saudi Arabia, Stephanie did not want to go to school.
If she's forced to sit at her desk for 8 hours a day and she's totally bored anyways, what has she learned except for to hate me because I forced her to go, and to hate her teacher because her teacher made her sit there all day long?
With 2 other kids at home, Cindy says that it was easy to have Stephanie stay home.
It's harder having her home all day because I was used to having her gone. So I did have to rearrange my schedule a little bit, but they're all together. When she learns, they learn.
A monitor comes into Cindy's home weekly to check up on Stephanie's progress. And so far, Cindy says everything is working fine. When Stephanie left the public school in January, she was at the 1st grade level. Now, only months later, she's at the 3rd grade level.
Yeah, I was amazed that, I was afraid I was pushing her too hard. but I don't push her. If she comes to me and she says, Mom, this is too hard, I just cannot do it, fine, close the book, put it down. We'll try it in a couple of weeks. I'm a creative person. I like to do arts and crafts and, you know, keep them happy and keep them entertained, but I'm sure at some point they're just going to want something else, you know. And at that point, if there's, you know, if she feels like going back to the public school, I'm not going to tell her no. You know, I'm not going to tell, public school's not bad. It's just that at this time in her life, it was bad for her.
528.
Laura Middleton teaches 3rd grade at Lake Agassiz School and is a strong believer in the public school system. She thinks that homeschooling would be appropriate if parents were able to provide ways for the kids to be with their peers.
My views come more from my teaching experience, going through school, learning all about becoming a teacher, and now seeing how good school is for kids.
Laura believes that by homeschooling, the student is missing out on social skills which are necessary for the child's life.
Interaction with so many different children, which I think is very important. For example, my kids switch their groups around every week or 2 weeks, who they're sitting with, learning to get along with other kids, and we do conflict resolution, and they really learn how to get along with people. Someone raise your hand if you can tell me what your homework is. Elliot?
While going to college to get her teaching degree, Laura learned not everyone could be a teacher.
There's so much that goes into becoming a teacher that you can't just like kids and be a teacher.
Students may learn better at home through one-on-one, but Laura thinks variety is important in the elementary years.
Kids definitely do shine in all different areas, so one thing that's really important is to provide all those different kinds of opportunities because everyone is good at something.
Even though the controversy remains on where to school your children, both do have their advantages. But in the long run, the decision rests with the parent.
And Lucy joins us now for some follow-up information. Lucy, in your story you mentioned that Stephanie is at home all day because she's being schooled. What type of outside activities does she have to gain those social skills?
She definitely does have a chance to get social skills because she's out during the week in gymnastics and playing with her friends, and on the weekends she takes part in social skill in Sunday school. Mm-hmm. So her parents don't think at all that she's missing out on them at all.
What are some of the numbers? You know, is homeschooling increasing or is it staying the same or what?
Well, in 1990 there was just 260 kids that were homeschooled, and only 5 years later now there are 637. That's almost a 250% increase.
Really? Yeah. Good. Nice report. Thanks, Lucy. Up next in Studio One, taking the pulse of the Grand Forks community. Tim Fount from the Grand Forks Herald will explain.
Banking is easy when you have options, like the options you get at Community National Bank. Like their friendly tellers. Can I have this traded in for nickels?
Sure, Bill.
And I love going to customer service.
Tootsie Roll, Bill.
Yes, thank you. That's customer service. Check cash card convenience when you need it the most. And those drive-ups, always one of my favorite options. And these 24-hour ATMs conveniently located all over town. Aren't they the best?
Laughter overflows, people meeting people, an exciting place to go. Something's there for everyone, and you can see it all. You're free to choose a million things, so meet me at the mall. Meet me at Columbia Mall.
I was looking for a car for 3 months, and the folks at Honda Nissan knew I did TV commercials. And so they asked me for suggestions. And all I could tell them was how great I was treated at Honda Nissan. And the next thing you know, here I am. When I went to Honda Nissan, I was treated with such respect. And I really couldn't believe the quality and selection that I found there. People always tell me that you get what you pay for. But at Honda Nissan, you really do get what you pay for.
The Grand Forks Herald is beginning a project aimed at identifying the problems area residents see in their community. It's called A Community Conversation, and the goal is to get people talking to each other and to perhaps find solutions to those problems. Tim Fout of the Grand Forks Herald tells us how the project will work. And thanks for joining us this morning, Tim.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, explain exactly what a community conversation is.
Well, we think of it as coffee for 50,000 people. It's a project in public journalism that aims at asking the people of Grand Forks and the region what they think the future of this place ought to be like and how we can get there.
Now, the project is teaming the Herald with the WDAZ and also National Public Radio, KFJM, I believe.
Northern Lights Public Radio, yes.
So exactly how are the three media organizations going to be working together?
Well, we'll be conducting phases of the project jointly. The journalism that each of us does as a result of the things that we do will be different, clearly. But we'll do meetings and polling and surveying and conversations, and we'll conduct those jointly. For instance, we're going to rent a van and spend a month driving around talking to people, and we'll have the TV people and the radio people and the newspaper people all together conducting conversations with people.
Now, you just mentioned the 4 phases. We do have a graphic that explains that a little further. Maybe you could go into exactly how you're going to utilize the polls and the focus groups.
Okay. Well, the 4 phases are first of all, coffee talk, the van project that we call it. Second, then we're going to do some polling, both at the beginning and at the end of the whole project, and maybe a fairly extensive community attitude survey in the middle. The third phase will be focus groups, in which we'll have small groups of people discussing specific issues that we've identified in the polling and the conversations. And the fourth phase will be, and this is really undefined yet, but some sort of community hearings that are designed to bring disparate parts of the community together to talk about the future.
Now, do you have any idea at this point what topics the focus and discussion groups will be looking at?
No, that's the interesting thing and the risky thing about this process. We've deliberately tried to start with a blank slate to let the people we talk to and the survey work that we do define what we're going to talk about in the rest of the project.
Now, why is this necessary? Why do we need to find out what people are thinking?
Well, it's probably not necessary, but it's probably a good thing to do. One of the things that we think about Grand Forks is that there hasn't been enough talk, wide talk, among a lot of people about what the future ought to be like. And as a result, I think there's some fumbling. There's some sense of not being able to work toward the future. And we hope that the project will help correct that.
Now, you're talking about this as a public journalism effort.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is public journalism?
Well, it's a real good question. The people who are talking about public journalism have described it as an unfolding philosophy. Basically, public journalism is a response to the political campaigns of the last decade and the sense that people are turned off by politics, are disengaging from public life, don't have an interest in common goals and common endeavor.
Okay. And have other communities tried projects like the one that you're embarking on right now?
Yes. In fact, there are dozens and dozens of experiments in public journalism going on. Knight Ridder, the company that owns the Herald, has been in the forefront of the public journalism movement, and many of the Knight Ridder properties are working on public journalism projects, and there are dozens of other newspapers and broadcast outlets doing the same.
What kind of results do you want to get at the end of this 6 or 8 month project?
I don't know. I hope that what we accomplish is to get people talking. It's really a rather modest goal that could have some really interesting repercussions. But basically, we want people to talk about things that they haven't talked about before and begin to think about and contemplate things that maybe they haven't done in the past.
What are the repercussions that you think could come out of this?
Well, I've obviously tried not to predict. What we'd hope is that there's a renewed sense of public spirit, that people begin to re-engage with public life. that politics is not viewed as something that other people practice in evil ways, but something that all of us practice for the common good.
Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that it's about 6 or 8 months long that this project is going to last. Why are you wrapping it up so quickly?
Well, one of the things that is going on here is that there's a parallel project, public-private project called Grand Forks 2020, which is designed eventually to produce a mission statement for the Grand Forks and the region. And what we want to do is give people voice, give people the ability to talk about the future, and then sort of get out of the way and allow this parallel process to result in a mission statement, something that people can look at and read and contemplate and say, this is what's going to happen in Grand Forks in the future. I agree, I disagree, and here's what I can do to help this mission statement be realized.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Rob Shaeffer joins us next on Studio One with what it's like to be a stand-in during a movie.
Great food can come from anywhere, as long as the shredded natural cheese comes from Sargento of Wisconsin.
Newman Outdoor Advertising, a sight for more eyes. Outdoor advertising, it's bigger than life. It gives you flexibility. Use it as a constant reminder. Use it to advertise your message or product. Outdoor advertising, it's big, it's bold. Get your message across. Outdoor advertising, it works. For more information, call Bill Kasager in Fargo or Grand Forks.
The University Bookstore at UND is open to everyone and invites you to make it your lifelong learning resource center. At the largest university bookstore in the Dakotas, you can choose from a wide selection of educational materials, imprinted clothing, and gift items. The trade department carries general interest books, reference materials, and educational software. Special orders and direct mailing services are available at the University Bookstore by calling 1-800-671-0948.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stand in for a famous actor? Well, a UND student was given the chance in the movie Fargo, which was filmed this past month in North Dakota. Rob Shaeffer is here to tell us about his exciting experience. Rob, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Okay, this is the funny thing. You didn't want to go in because you've never acted before. You just wanted to be a part of the movie. Why did you do this?
For the money.
So no acting experience.
None.
What was the audition like? How did you go about doing that?
Oh, there really wasn't an audition. I just took my picture up there and they called me the next day.
And what was your schedule like while you were filming? What all went into that?
I was pretty much out there beck and call. They would call me the night before and tell me when I needed to show up the next day. And sometimes it'd be 7 o'clock at night. Sometimes the first day I worked, it was I had to be out there at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. So different hours all the time. The lead actor that you stood in for was Steve Buscemi, and he was in the past movie of Reservoir Dogs and everything. What was it like standing in? What did you just do? Did you just stand there, or did you have any speaking lines?
I had no speaking lines whatsoever. There was one day when I got to drive a car, and they shot some scenes of me driving. So I might actually be in the movie.
You don't know if it'll end up on the cutting room floor or not.
Yeah.
Oh, we have some pictures that the Herald ran while they were filming the crew. And tell us a little bit about what exactly was happening.
Well, in that picture, Steve Buscemi was bearing a case full of money out in the snowbank. And that was the first day that I worked. And pretty much I did nothing that day because I wasn't allowed on the set. Otherwise, I'd ruin the snow.
So they made you keep away.
Yeah.
And the next one here is that they're shoveling snow. Why are they doing this?
Well, with the nice weather and everything, the snow started melting along the ditches, and he needed to fill in the snow along the tops of the ditches so that it would look like there was snow there.
And here the makeup artist is putting stuff on Steve Buscemi. Is that blood, or what are they putting?
Yeah, that's
exactly
fake blood there, yeah.
And you said they did a pretty good job of putting makeup on everyone.
Yeah, well, the first day I saw Steve Buscemi, he had a scar along his face, and I thought it was real, and it was actually makeup.
And here a lot of the scenes were shot at night. Why did they do it at night? Because of the snow?
Yes, because of the snow disappearing. They thought they'd be able to make it look more like winter if they shot everything at night, I guess. So.
What is the movie Fargo all about?
It's about a guy who hires two big bad guys, to kidnap his wife because his wife's dad is rich, and he wants some of that money.
So how has this changed you as far as like going and seeing the movies and everything? Do you want to, not go into math and sciences now? You want to become an actor, or what are your plans?
I'm still going to go into what I'm going into.
So it was a fun experience. Would you do it again if you had to?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like talking to the actors? Were you pretty much secluded from them, or did they let you in the area of that?
They would come and mingle once in a while with the crowd and stuff like that after the scenes, and then they'd leave.
So you were the only UND student on the film?
The only one that I knew of. I really didn't meet anybody else from Grand Forks while I was there.
Were you bored? Just standing
Sometimes,
there?
yes.
What did you do? You just stood there and you just watched them. What were they doing while you were standing there?
Well, most of the times they were either setting up for the scene or actually doing the scene while I stood there. So.
What time is the movie expected to be out?
Well, from what I heard, talking to a few people, it might be out next year, sometime during the spring.
So they're going to invite you back for a sneak preview to take a look at it before everyone else?
Unfortunately.
And they gave you a parting gift, too. A bumper sticker.
Yep.
That had Fargo, North Dakota on it.
I got this. I went down to the production office and asked for a souvenir, and they gave me this.
And it just says Fargo, North Dakota, a state of mind.
Yes, I'm not quite sure what the bottom phrase means there, but...
Good tourism promotion for the state of North Dakota. Well, Rob, thanks for joining us. We will definitely be looking in the movie theater halls for your debut.
Okay,
and see if you ended up on the cutting room floor or not. And you're watching Studio One. We'll be back right after this.
And pick your insurance company? As your agent and broker, that's our exact job. We think we do it well, and have been since 1947. Voller Insurance, Grand Forks, Devils Lake, Bismarck.
UND's Division of Continuing Education can help you learn throughout your lifetime. Begin or continue your education through correspondence study and learning after hours with classes on weekends and evenings. Or enhance your personal and professional development through conferences, management seminars, and specialized programs.
Our goal is to provide quality programs and extend UND resources to you.
For more information, call 777-4266 or 1-800-342-8230.
If you don't want your fish swimming in these waters, try the world's greatest tuna sub at Subway. Chunk-like tuna, fresh baked bread, and all your favorite fixins. So remember, it's their way or Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
Some people love the seafood, or all the fresh fixins. But what gets most people is the crab. The Subway Seafood and Crab Sub. Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
Insurance. Unfortunately, it costs. Fortunately, it pays. Voller Insurance, Grand Forks, Devils Lake, Bismarck.
As always, we invite you to let us know what you think of Studio One, and you can do that with our email address if you are on the internet. Our email address here is udstudio@badlands.nodac.edu. So jot a note and send it to us. We'll be happy to read it for you. And that's it for Studio One today. We're going to be gone. We'll be back in 2 weeks because of the Easter holiday. We're going to leave you now with the rich sounds of Alex Slobodyanik. And from all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.